All right, what's up, guys? Here we go. So, man, let's try this again. Chris Abbott here. We're about to go live with Wes Morris, okay, and Wes and Jen, and we're going to be talking about how they used Facebook ads and Plan Your Visit to go from 350 to 800 in only 4 weeks. We're going to talk about what strategies they used, how they got there, what they've done since then. So, all right. So Wes, let's see. Let me invite Wes on here. All right. Let's see how we can do this. So, Wes, I think you have to somehow maybe request. I'm trying to send one on here as well. Here, let's see. Wes, I think you have to be on your phone for some reason. It's not letting me add you here, bro. All right. All right. So here's what we're gonna be talking about. So one of the cool things, Josh, what's up, bro? Good to see you. Antonio, Andre, good to see you guys here. Devin, what's up, man? Man, so one of the things we specifically want to cover today, right, is one of the things that a lot of churches always are kind of asking about is some of the actual tactics as far as what should be in the video, right? What type of content should be in the video? What type of calls to action should be, especially when we're talking about like kind of the signature pastor selfie video, which if you guys have been following me for any amount of time, you probably hear me talk about quite a bit, right? So that's what we're specifically gonna talk to Wes and Jen about today. So they were have completely crushed it and have been doing awesome here with Facebook ads. So now one of the things that we've kind of talked about is authenticity, right? So this is something that Wes and Jen are great at, something that has been absolutely huge for them, and I see for most of the churches that are really successful with this is you just have to come across authentic, you have to come across natural. Right. So one of the things, and we all do it, right? Myself included, is when you first are, like sometimes like as soon as we hit, like you'll be having a conversation with somebody like, yeah, bro, man, like, okay, awesome. Yeah, let's do a video invite. Let's invite some people to church, man. This is going to be awesome. Then as soon as you hit record, right, it's just like, hi, my name's Chris, and I'd like to invite you to Guts Church this Sunday. Right? It's not authentic, and I think people can feel that inauthenticity. Is that a word? Right? It just doesn't feel authentic. And so I think people can feel that. So I think one of the most important things whenever you do that is, man, just try to talk like you would normally talk, right? So coffee shop invitation, right? If you met somebody at a coffee shop, how would you invite them to church? That's exactly what you want to do. This should be a coffee shop invite. So, man, you just want to keep it natural, keep it authentic, right? And just invite people to church. Now, it's a good idea. You don't necessarily have to have a script beforehand. Sometimes some people need a script, and that really helps them. Some people, a script keeps them like tied to something, and so they can't actually be themselves, right? So for me personally, I like to have bullet points. I just like to have a couple of bullet points that I know I want to hit, right? So like I might, I know I want to probably introduce myself at the beginning. I know I might want to not only introduce myself, but might want to talk about some of the things like we have coming up at Easter or something like that. So I'll make a couple of bullet points of the things I want to make sure to say, right? Like, oh, okay, at Easter, I want to make sure I'm going to talk about the rooftop candy drop that we're going to do. I want to make sure to say we're going to have 10,000 Easter eggs. I want to make sure to say we're going to have a live petting zoo. We're going to have face painting, right? So as long as I have like those 4 things, and I know I'm going to give like the date, right? So you just kind of jot those out, a couple of bullet points, and then just go live and say, hey, what's up, guys? Man, my name's Chris, and I want to invite you to Easter at Guts Church this Sunday. Man, here's the deal. Your kids are going to think you're a rock star if you bring them to Guts on Easter Sunday, because we've got a rooftop candy drop. We've got 10,000 Easter eggs. Man, we've got a live petting zoo. We've got free candy for everyone. Man, we're even going to have some great. Daniel's got a Daniel question here. Anyway, so you guys can see that, right? Like you got your bullet points out, and then you're just kind of being natural. So Daniel says, "How can we use this in Spanish ministry?" Exact same way you'd use it in an English ministry, bro. So if you're talking about specifically with the Spanish church, you could do that with a selfie video, right? Like you just go in there and create it. Just do it in Spanish, and then on Facebook you can actually target Spanish speaking people in the area, and just kind of go in there, target them, and say, hey, we want to invite you to church this Sunday, right? So the other thing that you can do is you can actually if it's for a Spanish church, but if you just have a Spanish ministry, right? You could still do it the same way. You can still do everything in Spanish and just say, hey, like, man, I go to Guts Church, and I want to invite you to our Spanish service on on Sunday at this time, right? And just kind of talk about the Spanish ministry itself. So you would use it the exact same way, just do it in Spanish and run it to Spanish speakers. So. All right, Wes, let's see if we can get Wes on here. I know he's watching. Here we go. Okay. I think Wes is jumping on here. Here we go. And we'll dive into the interview portion here of this video. So if you guys have any questions, just type them in, and man, we're gonna get this rolling here. Travis, yes. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
All right, we got Wes and Jen Morris in the house. Man, hey, thank you guys so much, man, for doing this.
Yeah, this is awesome, man. You're the man, Chris.
Rock and roll, man. Dude, I'm super pumped. And Jen, man, thank you so much for coming on here. This is awesome. I've seen you in all the videos.
I know.
So, man, this is so cool. I love it. Are you guys at the church or at your house?
Yeah, we're at the house this morning.
I love it. Okay. Well, so let's dive in. I did a little bit of an intro or whatever, and kind of talked to people about what you guys have done. But why don't you guys just kind of tell the story, just kind of in your own words, just kind of start at the beginning, right? Like kind of what everything has looked like, and then I'll kind of jump in and ask some questions along the way.
Oh man, so good. Well, hey, first, Chris, thank you so much for the opportunity to connect. And what God has done in the last year has been unbelievable. So we celebrated 6 years actually yesterday. And incredible day. Just this last year has been unbelievable. And just to kind of fill people in on where we started with you, last year we were about to move from a school that we had met in for the first 5 years and a few months. And we're going to cross the street, go down the road to a high school, got to open up a door. It was just a great situation for us. I'll never forget sitting in my office, and we were about to write a check for a neighborhood news ad. We're going to do like a full page, spend a bunch of money, and we're excited about it, and feeling like, oh, this is going to be a good investment. But I had some reservations. And so that was the day that I think I gave you a call, and I just had this thought, like, what if we could invest that money into social media, do it right, figure this thing out. And so I told my assistant, hold the check. We're not doing that news ad. Honestly, man, without a doubt, it was the best decision, one of the best marketing decisions we've ever made. Yeah. That really was a game changer. And I called you. I said, Chris, is there any way we could build a plan, a 2-month plan, hire you, run all our Facebook ads? And one of the reasons why is because I was so frustrated, because I think like a lot of planters and a lot of pastors, you do ads the wrong way. We had boosted posts, and so spent a lot of money, but had a hard time figuring out, okay, what is the return on it? Is anybody coming? And so we just went through waves where we would do it for a little while and not do it for a little while. And it was just frustrating, honestly. So we had this big opportunity. We're going to do this grand opening, move to a new school. And that's how the relationship started. And of course, man, what God did in the course of last summer between July and August through Facebook marketing and Plan Your Visit was unbelievable.
Bro. Yeah. So, okay. So I remember one of the things that was really cool, Jen, you were talking about a story is when you guys started to run the ads, you were saying that like when you're dropping your kids off at school, right? People were like pulling you aside like, hey, I had no idea you guys were pastors.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. I can't just walk into Walmart though with no makeup anymore. That's kind of the downside. But people recognize my face, even if they didn't know me previously. I was working the car line because I'm really good at that with my 2 small children. And one of the other coaches, she said, yeah, so tell me about your launch. And I kind of like, what are you talking about? And she said, yeah, I saw on your Facebook ad that you're launching, and what do you have for kids? And, you know, she just had questions for me right there on the spot. Somebody who I never would have brought up a conversation with her specifically about that, because I had no idea what her family life was or that she had small kids. I didn't even realize that. But she brought it up to me because I had come up in her feed. She was one of our demographics, a family with young kids. And it started a conversation that I didn't even have to start. I had already taken care of that Facebook ad, and it was just a follow-up conversation really with her after that.
I think that was one of the coolest things early on, because we started running ads where you were just with me. And I had this feeling, because here's what I noticed in our church, and maybe it's a lot of churches, but we find that we'll have moms show up either by themselves or moms show up with their kids, and they're like checking their church out because maybe their husband is away from God, or maybe they're disconnected or haven't been in church in a long time, and the last thing they want to bring is their whole family and have one more bad experience. And so we find that a lot of ladies and moms are the one making decisions about where their family's going to go to church. And so I'm like, man, they need to connect with a lady who speaks their language, sounds, looks like them, you know, is in their space and their world a little bit. And so her joining me on the videos, and then her, you know, we did some video ads where we were just targeting ladies, and that was some of the best stuff that we did leading up to the grand opening, because I think that resonated with people, with moms and ladies who are wanting to make that decision for their family.
Yeah, clear. We're targeting ladies with me speaking to them, not with Wes speaking to them. Right. We're trying to keep it clean, you know.
Well, and so which is a great point, Jen. Right? We do make that distinction, right? So one of the interesting things that we found. So I remember, like, with the first one, I think, Wes, right? Like we had you on video saying, "Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Wes. I want to invite you to church," and it was doing pretty good. I think we were at like probably 25 or 30 cents a click. And then I remember we were like, okay, you guys shot one together, and all of a sudden it was like I just remember freaking out. I'm like, Wes, we're at like 10 cents a click, bro. Like this is crazy. And so we did a couple of videos with you guys, just inviting people out to the grand opening, right? And tried some of that. And then when we ran the video of just Jen inviting out like moms and wives and women, it was like, bro, we're at like 8 cents a click. Like it was crazy down.
And the crazy thing about that, Chris, is we're still doing videos, still working the same strategy, and obviously, you know, it's more well known. And at this point, not getting as many Plan Your Visits as we did during that season where it was brand new. But the cost per click is still super low. You know, you'll start out the first couple of days and get 8, 9, 10 cents, and you know, and it gradually goes up, but the attention of people you're getting to the website is just incredible.
Yeah, and so and you guys have talked about or we've talked about this before, but like one of the distinctions I always like to make, right? Like is like every single one of those clicks to the website, right? Like I think you hit on something really important, is to talk about like, oh yeah, like what, man, we've had 1,000 clicks to the website. It's like those 1,000 clicks actually represent 1,000 people who live within driving distance of your church, who all of them have a family. So there's potentially 1,000 families who just went to your website to learn more about what God's doing at your church, right? To see if they think it'd be a good fit for that family. And that's a huge deal. And a lot of times it's easy to kind of get caught up in the Plan Your Visits and get caught up in attendance and get caught up how many people are actually showing up, you know, how many visitor cards, how many connect cards we had turned in. But just understanding too, right? Like that where it all starts is creating an ad that connects with people on an emotional level, and then sending them to their website, right? To your website to learn more about who you guys are as a church, right? Learn probably more about you guys as the power couple of Pastors Wes and Jen Morris, right? You know,
I'm scared.
Well, because you know, every single person wants to know before they visit a church, right? Like, who's the pastor? Who are the people? Right. And so they want to know, like, who are the pastors here? Because they're, you know, and once they connect with the pastors, right, then they go to your website and they look and see a bunch of pictures of like cool people that look like them. They're like, oh yeah, like, man, these are like, this is awesome. Like, man, they're young and have kids running around, and I've got kids running around. Right. I think sometimes people get, especially unchurched people, get really nervous about visiting a church for the first time. One, because we forget how really intimidating it is. Right. Like Like we've been going to church for so long. I've been going to church like every Sunday since I was like 13, you know? So like if I miss on Sunday, it like feels like sin. I'm like, oh my gosh, right? Like, but we forget for people that aren't in the habit of going to church and haven't done that, what a big deal it is to get them to like get up early on Sunday, get ready, get the kids ready, right? Like get their spouse out of bed if they're married, right? Get everything like piled into the car and then show up. And then if they're going to a place where they don't know what the inside of the buildings look like, they have no idea what type of people go there, and they've never seen the pastor before, it's almost impossible to get them there, right?
Yeah.
And that's why like y'all's video, right? So we talked about it before you guys came on, but one of the big things that I've noticed with you guys is that you guys come across like super authentic, right? Like when you guys say like invite people to church, it feels like real. Like it doesn't feel like you know, we'll see this a lot of times. It's come on, and I think everybody struggles with this. But you know, you come on, you're like, hi, I want to invite you to Gus Church this Sunday. Yeah. When you show up here, we'll meet you at the front door, right? And it's just like, oh gosh, who talks like that? Nobody talks like that except for when they're on a video and they're trying to do what they think a video should be. Yeah. And you guys didn't do that. Like all of your guys' stuff, like literally. I think we talked about this before. Wes was like, man, I feel like I know you guys way better than I do because I've watched your videos so many times, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I've known this.
We're close.
Like, yeah, we're tight like spandex from back in the day, and the reason is because you know you guys come across so authentic in those videos, and so I think it just it really shares your heart, right? Like I think that's one of the reasons, Jen, your video did so well when we targeted moms the first time. Was like people felt like, oh my gosh, like I they come across like knowing your heart and knowing that you're authentically inviting them and that you guys really do have a heart to reach people. And I think it just makes them feel comfortable and they're like, oh, okay, well, if nothing else, at least I know the pastor's wife now. Like this is gonna be awesome, right? Like we're gonna.
Well, let me speak to that, Chris, because that is maybe. Sorry for cutting up there. I just wanted to kind of what's going on in my heart and mind is it's not just an ad. For me, I actually will specifically think of one family or woman that I know, like that coach, and I will put her in my mind, and I'm saying I am doing this to reach her. It's for her kids, and I'm saying God, use this to draw them into our church. I think we're so authentic because we don't want people to come to church because of us. We want people to find an encounter with God. And if this is the method and the vehicle that he's going to use, then God anoint us and use it and let it hit people in the middle of the night. We've gotten plan your visits at 3 a.m. And we'll kind of Facebook stalk them a little bit and find out that they've got 4 kids. And we're like, we don't know what's going on with that dad that at 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. he's on Facebook and he sees that ad and he sees hope and life in our faces and in our tone and he can just feel, you know, God's presence. And I think that's another kind of secret sauce behind it is it's not just an ad. It's not just business at that point. This is the vehicle that God could use to reach somebody and to reach a family.
Hey, let me piggyback on that, Chris, because a couple of things that you preach a lot, man, that we messed up on those first 5 years is I think we were trying to pick out the perfect times and the perfect ads and trying to nail exactly when we should be on Facebook. And you preach it so well is that consistent good ads will beat great ads anytime that are inconsistent. And just throwing them out there and keeping them out there because you don't know when somebody needs that ad. So just the consistency of having a video all the time out there and, you know, mixing it up, changing it up. Yeah. And I will say one of the big testimonies to this is we've never had next step classes where every next step class we have somebody saying we found your church because of social media. That has changed. And then right after the grand opening it was the biggest next steps class we've ever had. But one guy, he was sharing his testimony. He said, guys, keep doing those videos. That video, he said, I woke up one morning, I looked at Facebook and he's like, he was so inspired, like that got him there. So really cool to see how that happens.
Dude, I love it, man. I love hearing that. And I remember you shot me a picture of that first Next Steps class afterwards or whatever, right? And there was, it was like 33 people in there or something, right?
Yeah.
If I remember right. It was, man, that was crazy. And I love it. So, you and I have talked about this quite a bit, Wes, like, because you're right. Like the biggest thing is just being consistent, right? Like just going out there. A lot of people think, oh, well, I'll start doing Facebook ads when we get a bigger budget or when this happens or that happens. It's like, man, the best time to start doing Facebook ads was like 3 years ago, right? The second best time is today, right? Like launch one like right now. Like you can't do anything about what you haven't done up to this point. You can do something about moving forward. And so something you guys have been really good about, right, is not turning off one ad until you launch the next one, right? Like so just always making sure that there's an ad going. Because a lot of times what happens is I'll see churches come in and they'll, they have an ad campaign going. They're like, oh, we're going to put up a new ad today. So they turn the old one off, and then something happens. They don't get a chance to shoot it. And then something happens tomorrow. And the next thing you know, it's been like a week, 2 weeks, or a month, and they don't have any Facebook ads going. So I've seen that about you guys is, man, you guys always have like fresh videos like coming and swapping them out, right? Like you guys are still staying consistent with those videos and just staying in front of people because I remember we had a conversation. I remember driving down the road and we were talking about this, Wes, and then you texted me that night because we were talking about, right, what like the videos, like one of the things that you're doing is you're pastoring your city, right? So when you're on there and you're literally just staying in front of people and staying and being encouraging and inviting people to church, right? You're the most Jesus that a lot of those people are going to see. Yeah. And so to stay consistent and keep doing it, like you start pastoring your city. And then, man, you sent me a text that night after we had that conversation about something I think that happened in McDonald's drive-thru. Is that right?
Oh man, we've had McDonald's drive-thru. We were in Home Depot shopping one night. Like, a guy stopped us, and the guy's like, he's trying to place where he had seen us, and we just gave him a minute and kind of had fun. And we knew like this guy saw us on Facebook, and finally he picked it up, or maybe we hinted around about it. But man, he just came alive. He's like, man, if I was, he went to another church, but he's like, man, if I didn't go to another church, like I would have been checking you guys out. So that kind of stuff was happening all the time, everywhere we go. And we had one person. It was funny. She was this couple was at a Next Steps class a couple months after we had moved over to Wharton and had the grand opening. And she came to me on a Sunday morning, and she's like, man, this church is like an overnight success. It is unbelievable. And what was interesting about that is I was like, yeah, we're a 6-year overnight success. I mean, but I felt like in a lot of ways, like we just got on the map in our community. Like so many people are just hearing about us for the first time. And you think because, we met at a K-8 school, kindergarten through 8th grade, and we had a sign right on a main drag in our community, and we would keep it fresh and rotate the sign. And you think just because you put a sign out, everybody knows about you. And it's this crazy realization that so many people are numb to that huge sign that you think everybody sees. Yeah. And so doing this was huge, and just getting the word out about who we are.
Such a great point, man. All right, so what would you guys say to if there's any pastors out there who are either on the fence about using Facebook ads or are convinced Facebook ads are the way to go, but just haven't actually started yet? What would you say to them?
Well, man, I would say don't hesitate. This works. Going hanging out in the same place, and there was going to be 100,000 people, you would be there passing out invite cards. And you have in a 10-mile radius, most people 300,000 to 500,000 people, and it's just amazing that Facebook can get that out there. It's excitement for your church because they're seeing you out there. I wouldn't hesitate about it. It's doing social media marketing the right way, and it's proven results. It works. It gets people to your website, and I wouldn't hesitate.
I love it. Okay, so let me ask you guys a couple of things about hosting Plan Your Visit and assimilation, and then we'll kind of wrap things up here. So talk to me about you guys are running Facebook ads. People are clicking on them. They're going to your website, planning your visit. What do you guys do once a Plan Your Visit first comes in?
We show up to their house with some bread.
Yeah, banana bread.
Go ahead.
Perfect. Start banging on their front door. I love it.
Yeah. Bring them a puppy.
Yeah. So there's a few things that I love about Plan Your Visit, because I talked to a couple last Sunday that had planned their visit and came in. I was talking to them before church, and they're like, man, that was really cool. We'd never planned our visit or filled out a form like that before. And I said, one of the things I love about it is I get copied on the emails. I send them to our connections director, and they run through a process of sending them a text, letting them know they're excited. Sometimes they'll hear back, sometimes they won't, but it's just that contact that is so good. But I love getting copied on them because I get to pray over every person that's planning to come that Sunday. And in a spiritual way, I think that's huge because then I have a head start on knowing. And then when I meet that guest, I encourage our team to, if they can, find us and because we love to say hi to them on a Sunday. But I feel like I know them a little bit before they're already there. And just getting to pray over them, God, bless this time at our church. Let it be a great experience for them. So in the spiritual, I think it's huge. But then for our team to know, like, hey, we have a list of this many people that are showing up this Sunday for the first time. Like, let's wow them and everything we do from the parking lot all the way, to the kids area. And so in that respect, it's huge. And then just getting to make that contact before we send them we do a text message. And then, of course, we have a follow-up process after that Sunday.
Okay. So what is the follow-up process typically look like for you guys?
Yeah, I think it's pretty typical, but we do a 24-hour email, and then we'll follow up later in the week. But the biggest thing is the email, and just like we talk about real video, doing real videos that just connect with people. One of the things is I try to make that email connection with them just very, very real and transparent. I'm not sending them a bunch of forms and or links and asking them to fill out a review of the church. Like I want that email to feel really personal because I love for them to respond and create a conversation. And I send that email, have my assistant send that for me. So it's just, hey, so-and-so, man, we're so glad you're here. I want it to feel like it's a really personal email, and that way it creates some dialogue. And then we'll send them later next steps on, attending start. That's what we call our next steps, and spiritual next steps too.
Awesome. Okay, so walk me through what that next steps. You said it's called Start. Is the Start class? Okay, so walk me through what does that class look like?
Which month?
Yeah. I mean, so and we've navigated that a bunch of different ways, but we do our next steps once a month, and I know that people do the growth track and have different formulas for that. Ours is a once a month event that is helping them find their place and purpose at Bay Chapel, and also we want them to hear the heartbeat. So we lead that class. We've got our team there. Just really like a 2-part class that's combined. So that first half is us sharing our story, vision,
which connects them to us. I think a lot of times, especially again for females, if they're still going through and deciding about a church, they want to know the love story. They want to know, how did this start? Why did you choose this community? And when they hear that our passion was that we wanted to raise our children in this city, that immediately creates that loyalty. And well, that's what I'm doing. I'm raising my kid here, so you're here for me. And I think that really connects them right before we go back into, okay, now let's find out more about you. And they do personality testing and things like that.
Yeah, so that's just an hour and a half at our offices on a Sunday night, second Sunday night of the month.
Awesome.
But we also, so man, we encourage that to be like the first step. But we're always encouraging people to take a next step with either jumping on a team or a group. So that's the big thing at Bay Chapel is we encourage every person to connect to community and do that either through serving on a team or getting involved in a group. And so there's easy next steps that we use via email and online to get connected in that way.
I love it. Okay. Awesome. All right. So, man, you guys have been awesome taking time out to come out here and do it. Is there anything else you guys want to share with people out there watching this? I know we got a lot of people who are brand new at Facebook ads, some who are just stepping in to plan your visit. Anything you want to encourage them or anything you want to say to them before we go here?
You want to say it?
The only thing I was going to say is this will feel like a stretch. And it's supposed to. This is not, especially if this is something you've not done before or you're not used to, it's going to feel vulnerable because you are putting your heart out there. Your heart is this community. It sounds weird to say you're selling yourself, but you're putting yourself out there. So you will get comments from atheists all the way to grannies. And so just be ready for that and be okay with that, and know that if you're ready to be that vulnerable and take that next step for your community, then just trust God with that and leave that there, and know that it's touching everybody, from the ones that are really receptive to the ones that are not so much. But it's worth it. That cost benefit ratio of stretching yourself in your comfort zone in order to reach the lost is really so worth it.
Chris, I'll share a couple things as well. You know, the first thing is how crazy it is that the more raw and real the video is, the more attractive it is. You know, because you think that, oh man, like this video is so unpolished. I mean, basically you're going out in the backyard or wherever, like you just find good lighting and a tree, and you know, you shoot this selfie video and you think, who's going to watch this? Like it's unproduced, and you just clip it in the front. You know, I mean, there's really hardly anything to it, but that's what resonates on Facebook. And so that was just an eye opener, because you kind of feel like, man, is this all it takes to produce a good video? But that's what works. And so you know, mixing those videos up and targeting different areas, and of course the script on the video is so huge too. But I think that's one of the huge takeaways for me. And I just want to say thank you, man, because you know, so much of the education and the wisdom you have about social media marketing has been huge. Like I would encourage any pastor not to hesitate when it comes to the program or whatever you've got going, man, because it was I can't imagine, you know, to think how different our launch last year at this new high school would have been if we had not done these ads really well. And to even speak to that, you know, because we were running 350, 400. We had 811 on that first day, and of course that dipped, and we've settled, you know, at 650. But we're growing from there, you know. So you have that spike and it falls back, and then you have a healthy place to grow from. But I mean, it's close to doubling our church, man. Which has been we've never experienced the kind of momentum that we had walking through that summer into fall season last year. So thanks, bro. It's been good.
Yeah, no, this has been awesome, man. Man, it's been a lot of fun getting to know you guys and working with you guys, and even the stuff we discovered along the way. I mean, shoot, I forgot to mention earlier, but I remember one of the things that we did when we first started launching those ads is we put, I think it was even before we ran Jen's video, and it was like the two of you guys together, is we put some emojis in the ad, and it like cut the cost per click in half. Flames. Right? Like just yeah, the flames, exactly. Right? It was like who knew, right? Like it was just but a lot of it was just testing different things. Right? It's like, hey, let's figure out what's working, because some of the stuff that works in Tulsa doesn't work in Dallas, but it'll work in Birmingham, but then it won't work in Tampa, right? So it's just figuring out like, okay, what's working for the people who live within driving distance of your church, right? The people in your community and for your church, because every church is different, every community is different. So man, it's been a lot of fun trying different things, and man, you guys are absolutely crushing it and knocking out of the park. I told you this the other day, Wes, but I literally, like, I have at least 2 or 3 people per week that I talk to, pastors all over the country, who are asking me about Wes and Jen from Bay Chapel. It's pretty awesome. What's that?
Send them to Tampa. We'll take them.
Yeah.
Great.
Awesome. All right. Well, guys, man, thank you so much for coming on here and for doing this. I think we're gonna help some churches here with this. So, man, appreciate you guys more than you know.
All right, Chris. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys.
Have a good one.